We are back on Inside Politics. Our guest today is Sam Stockard, a reporter for the Tennessee Lookout. He's been a long-time fixture up on Capitol Hill reporting on the government. The Tennessee legislature is in their final days, with the 112th General Assembly, at least in the final weeks. Sam, the governor's administration is looking at a $2.7 billion program of capital projects. So what's all involved in that? That's a lot of money.
Well, they have a major project out in out near the prisons to build the state law enforcement training facility that's going to take in, allow them to consolidate a lot of projects. I think the Department of Safety, Department of Correction offices, gun ranges, so forth out there. That's a big chunk of money. $355 million, I believe, is the amount. Another $250 million, I believe, is supposed to go to TSU, which is long awaited, much anticipated. Those are two that pop off the top of my head right now.
It appears some state buildings are being sold, perhaps at least, or at least leased out to private corporations, and including the state office building that houses the Tennessee Performing Arts Center downtown in Nashville. Is the future of TPAC now uncertain?
It's possible, but that building is so specialized, it would probably be hard for anybody to come in and just get rid of a stage. I know they want to get rid of a lot of those buildings to cut their deferred maintenance costs.
Yeah, you mentioned deferred maintenance in the article that you wrote. Apparently it's a pretty large number. How is it possible the state government always prides itself on how well it runs itself, have that much deferred maintenance? That's not generally a good way to handle it in the business.
Well, they just push things off because it's out of sight and out of mind, and they don't want to spend the money when they've got other projects they want to start, and it's hard to spend money on old things.
We talked about the billions of dollars the states receiving from the federal government in various forms. Some states are moving money around and using some of that to cut taxes in Tennessee. There are some lawmakers who'd like to do that, but I don't hear anything coming about actual legislation at this point.
There's no plan to cut taxes, especially using that money to offset costs. It's going mainly toward construction projects such as a new Department of Health lab. I believe that's $200 million, and then maybe some stuff for DIDDS, disabled services.
There's still a professional privilege tax. It's on some professions, was repealed off of some others. Do you see some movement on that this session?
I haven't heard any talk on completely removing that.
The governor's not talking about cutting taxes either. I guess that's the best sign that nothing's going to happen on that.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen.
You know, it wouldn't be a session of the legislature without gun bills coming up. This particular time, they're talking about basically allowing people, concealed or unconcealed, to be able to take guns even where law enforcement only can take it right now. Some law enforcement people are a little uncomfortable about that.
Well, law enforcement people have been uncomfortable about most of the gun bills they've passed, but they've gone ahead and passed them anyway, such as the permitless carry. They have another bill that's moving in the House would drop the age from 21 to 18 to carry without a permit.
We're seeing this happen across the country, but Governor Lee in his address talked about the right for parents to be able to know more about what their children can read and get in their libraries in school, what they also are being taught in their textbooks. There's a bill that tries to address that this time. What does that bill do, and is it likely to see more and more counties have fights over textbooks the way we did in McMinn County already?
Well, that bill sets up a process for people to review every book in every school library in the state and challenge the books that are in the libraries. And even without that law, you're already seeing these challenges of books across the state. And I mean, really, Pat, who knew that librarians would be the most feared people in the state of Tennessee?
In the area of higher education, some GOP lawmakers, including House Speaker Sexton, are pushing a bill that would take further moves to not be able to teach critical race theory within schools. That's already been banned in K through 12 schools in Tennessee, although it's not being taught anywhere even before that. Now there seems to be a move to make a further push towards making sure that doesn't happen on the college level, which is where critical race theory came from in terms of education.
Well, they're targeting schools that have diversity, equity, and inclusion. I guess they feel that those are too politically correct, and they don't want anybody to try to have curriculum on diversity and so forth, and I'd say it's probably going to pass.
There is so much going on the Hill, and yet over the years there are fewer and fewer reporters and fewer media outlets up on the Hill. Is that frustrating to you as a journalist that you can't get to all the things that are going on and spend the time on it that you think maybe you need to?
Well, that's why I do Stockard on the Stump. Anything I can't get to during the week, I just throw it into my Friday column.
But the number of people in the Capitol Hill Press Corps continues to go down and down more every year.
It seems like it gets smaller and smaller every year, so we just have to go forth and do what we can.
Sessions have gotten shorter and shorter to some degree. Since the Republicans have taken over control of both houses, they have tended to want to get out as early as possible, particularly in election years, qualifying deadlines in early April. Do you think we'll be going up pretty quickly after that, or do you think they might get, because of education formulas and stuff like that, they may stay for a while?
I think the intention was to get out in mid-April, but I believe that anything that's coming out of this funding formula is going to push us a lot closer to May, the first week of May. And
also you find with lawmakers that what they might not want to pass or take a vote on before the qualifying deadline, once they know who is or who is not running against them, particularly in the primary, they might have a different view about voting on the bill once that deadline has passed.
Right. As we talked about earlier, anything that throws a monkey wrench into their plans is difficult.
Sam Stockard, thank you so much for joining us on. Good luck for the rest of the deal. We'll see if they get out by sometime in April.
I'll be ready.
And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics. I'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, you can go to the News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol News commentary there. There's a new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you here next time. Goodbye.